Most people believe failure happens at the end. They imagine it waiting there, at the finish line, arms crossed, ready to judge them after they've tried and come up short. But that is not where failure lives. Failure is not loud. It does not announce itself. Failure is quiet, patient, invisible. Failure happens in the moment a thought is dismissed. In the second, a vision is doubted. In the instant, a person feels the call to rise and chooses comfort instead. That is where most lives are decided, long before effort, long before action, long before results. You were not born lacking power. You were not born ordinary. You were not born destined for mediocrity. You were born with the same invisible force that built empires, carved railroads through mountains, turned ideas into industries, and transformed men of nothing into men of legend. The difference was never talent. It was never luck. It was never circumstance. The difference has always been belief, followed by decision. Look at history with clear eyes. Thomas Edison was not handed light. He was handed darkness and doubt and ridicule, and he decided to continue anyway. Andrew Carnegie did not inherit steel. He inherited hunger and formed a burning desire so intense it organized every thought, every action, every relationship around one aim. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Abraham Lincoln was told he lacked ability. Henry Ford was told he lacked intelligence. And yet each of them possessed one trait that outweighed every weakness. They decided who they were before the world agreed. Most people wait. They wait for reassurance. They wait for approval. They wait for confidence to arrive like a gift. But confidence is not given. It is built, brick by brick, through action taken before certainty. Here is the truth that divides lives. The world does not shape the individual. The individual shapes the world they are willing to believe in. Every outcome you see began as a thought held long enough to harden into conviction. Every achievement started as an inner conversation repeated until it silenced doubt. But most people never guard that conversation. They allow fear to speak louder than vision. They allow past failure to speak louder than future possibility. They allow the opinions of the unqualified to outweigh the voice of their own potential. And so they fail, before they ever begin. There is a moment in every life when the soul whispers. It does not shout. It does not beg. It simply says, there is more. More than survival. More than routine. More than drifting from one year to the next, numbing the days and calling it living. That whisper is purpose. And purpose ignored does not disappear. It turns inward and becomes regret. Napoleon Hill understood this truth when he studied the great minds of his era. He discovered that success was never an accident. It was always the result of a definite chief aim, clearly defined, emotionally charged, and relentlessly pursued. Most people fail because they never define their aim. They live vaguely and receive vague results. They want success but fear responsibility. They want freedom but cling to safety. They desire the fruit, but they resist the discipline of planting. Understand this now, clearly and completely. The mind is a magnet. It does not attract what you want. It attracts what you are. It reflects back the dominant thoughts you entertain, whether conscious or unconscious. If your inner world is filled with hesitation, the outer world responds with obstacles. If your inner world is ruled by doubt, the outer world reflects limitation. But when belief becomes dominant, when desire turns into obsession, reality bends. This is not mysticism. This is law. Every thought releases energy. Every belief conditions behavior. Every repeated idea becomes identity. You act in alignment with who you believe you are, never beyond it. That is why most people never start. Because starting requires a new self-image, and the old self fights to survive. The old self says, who do you think you are? The old self says, be realistic. The old self says, stay where it's safe. But safety has never created greatness. Comfort has never built destiny. Growth begins the moment you decide that the pain of remaining the same is greater than the fear of becoming more. There is no transformation without discomfort. There is no progress without pressure. And there is no success without a mind disciplined enough to hold a vision longer than the world holds its doubts. This is where the separation happens. This is where lives diverge. Some retreat, some rationalize, some settle, and some decide. They decide to think differently. They decide to demand more of themselves than the world ever could. They decide to act as though their thoughts matter, because they do. Once that decision is made, something profound occurs. The mind begins to organize itself. Opportunities appear where none existed. People enter your life